Oh yeah, for sure. That's why, because you know, shout out to my guy Mr. Mix. I learned a lot about hip hop being on the road with, you know, between Bobcat. The foundation of hip hop, first of all, is the DJ. DJ Slip. You feel what I'm saying? DJ Slip. That was his guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, through all the albums, right? So they would hit me these records. I remember Mr. Mix played me a record one day, and he was like, "This is the first hip hop record right here." And he treated that motherfucker like gold. Had it in like this little pillowcase and pulled it from the top of his shelf and played it for me, man. And I said, "Wow, when this record come from?" And like you said, I found out later on that they had been making records since like the 20s. And us as the people right now, I'm seeing the culture get pilfered from us. Like I've heard, and I don't never diss nobody on this show, we ain't about that, but I'm hearing people go out there and say things on major platforms like CNN because they just invite people. They go, what they do with these major publications, these major media houses, they go look at whoever got the highest amount of people on their Instagram or their YouTube.
Right.
And they say, oh, he must be an authority. So they call them people in there and they in there acting as representatives for a culture that they don't know shit about. So they get to telling all these lies and stuff, and those lies eventually become fact.
And that's the problem, man. We got to start gatekeeping the culture, because what happens is we let people tell these lies. They tell a little lie and they get away with that, and the lies just get bigger and bigger. So now when we start reclaiming our music genres, they treat us like guests in the genre. Like Beyonce. Beyonce has a country album, and a lot of the country fans are acting like she's a guest in country, like she's disrespecting country by claiming it. But we created country music. That was created by foundational Black Americans. Same thing with rock and roll. They treat us like guests in rock and roll.
Exactly.
That's our music. They do the same thing with jazz. They try to make us guests in jazz now. That's our creation.
And
So
it's happening with, if we not careful, man, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, if we not careful, hip hop is gonna go the way of rock and roll.
Yes, it is.
And all those other
Right.
genres. Because if you look up 30 years from now, because I'm looking at the like white kids, right? And I'm by no means racist. But I'm telling the truth. This is fact right here. I'm not lying. If you look at it now, they seem to be pushing the, oh, my booty hole is pink and this and that, and
Yeah.
I sucked dick last night.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like they saying some wild stuff on these records, man, and the other stuff is not really getting no attention.
Right. Ain't no balance now, man. They just have a one-sided stereotype. They don't have any balance no more. Like going back to the 80s, cats rapped about gangbanging, but they would put a consequence to it.
Definitely.
You guys would have a consequence. Yeah,
Definitely.
we banging, but this is gonna happen if you bang.
Yeah, I told you, you're gonna go to jail.
You're right.
Or you're gonna get killed, or your homie gonna get killed, or they gonna do a drive-by on your house, or the police is gonna do this or that and the other. So we always tried to make it a like you said, a consequence for it.
Like with 6 in the Morning with Ice-T. There was a consequence to all that stuff he was doing. Ice Cube, Gangsta, all that gangsta stuff he was doing in the end of the song, now I'm back in the county blues. You know, so there was always a consequence. So the artists knew to have a balance. Like, we're not trying to tell you to do that. This is what we did and this is the consequence of it. So y'all don't do that. That's why we're all in the same gang movement going on. They had self-destruction saying, hey, don't rock with crack. Crack ain't cool. That's why crack is looked down as negative today, because the rappers made it negative.
Oh, for sure. We didn't. A lot of people, especially from our generation, if it wasn't smoking weed or having a little bit of Hennessy, we didn't mess with it, because you was looked at as a fiend if you were on some type of drug.
Right.
Rappers frowned upon.
Rappers made that a negative thing. Even the dudes who were serving, like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm trying to get out. Don't you fuck with no bullshit like this. This ain't it.
Yeah, for real.
Now it's glorified. Mollies and Percocets
right
and shit. That's they make that shit sound cool now.
Oh, they make it sound real cool.
Is that because of the generation?
No, it's because of the corporate structure, man. The record labels make them do that shit. They incentivize them. They give them more money for that type of stuff. Whereas, man, back in the day, man, cats had somewhat of a code. Some people would say, hey, you niggas would run up in record labels and smack motherfuckers up back then.
We definitely did. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, they didn't really play like that back then with these majors. They would tell them, hey, I'm not doing this bullshit. I ain't putting on no dress. I ain't about to do a duet with Kenny G. You know, you would tell them. We ain't doing all that.
We would stand up a little
bit. They would stand up.
We'd come in and kick your motherfucking dough in with a couple of baseball bats, nigga.
Shit.
I'm not playing. Like, no, I'm not doing it. And that's why people ask me, why you never did this or why you never did more movies? Because it was like, Do you want to be? Can you put on the nose and paint your face and put on the clown wig? And can you just? And I'm like, nah, man. Is that what you got to do?
They want to
Speaking of that, how'd you get the role for Minister Society?
Shit. The movies were getting popular with us in them. You know, as far as rappers, you know, what we had. Well, first of all, we had colors, so that kind of set the tone a little bit. And then, you know, we had fucking Juice with Pac. Yeah. We had Boys in the Hood with Cube. We had Trespass with Ice-T and Cube. We had South Central with Glenn Plummer and shit. So it was the Hughes brothers. You get me?
Were you in those early reads with Tupac when he was there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? And what happened? What went left?
Honestly, honestly, the Hughes brothers, I don't think they didn't really want him in the movie.
Really?
The Hughes brothers had been fucking with Pac for a while. They did they probably did about 5-6 videos on Tupac.
That's right.
So they knew him. They worked with him. And, you know, my man Pac he's very strong-willed.
Yeah.
And so you, as a probably video director or, you know, your patience probably wore a little thin after working with the controversial brother for 5 or 6 times. So, but at the time, you know, you got this movie, you got, you know, the hook up with this company, and Tupac's the man.
Yeah.
Come on. His records, the controversy, you know, fuck it. My nigga got juice. My nigga got poetic justice. Like, we got fuck with him. So that was probably one of the, you know, we'll give y'all this movie, but y'all got to put my nigga in the movie. And so, I don't work with this motherfucker. You get me? That's probably the mind state.
Right.
But you got to get in where you fit in, right? So they put him in the movie, but the character they gave him was not suitable for him. You get me? And that was the problem.
He wanted to be old dog?
What didn't he like about, because he was playing Sharif, right?
Yes, they wanted him to play Sharif, the conscious guy. But it's Tupac. So you got me in a Al Capone ass killer movie and shit, and I'm the one standing on the outside going, you know, I'm that preacher on the corner where, you know, you go through those movies and the preacher's always on the corner telling everybody, why am I him? You get me? Why? And so you want me to be that? Okay, so I need an explanation. So I need y'all to show why Eiht is a killer, Old Dog's a killer, Tyrant's turning into killer, everybody's from the hood hard, but I'm over here the conscious one. Now, it gotta be because, you know,
Tupac wanted a backstory to the guy.
I need a backstory.
Right, because in the movie, there's not a backstory to this guy. He's just there saying, y'all don't need to be doing this.
And like I say, of course he's with us because he's allowed. Right. He's everywhere we are.
Why? Why is that, nigga? So nobody never explained why.
Of course he's probably from the hood,
but right?
They never explained it, though.
But they didn't explain it. And it fucked with him.
Okay.
Every day we would come to table reads, and it would get to his time to read his part. He would not read because he was not comfortable with the character. Like, man, show me killing a nigga. Yeah. Show, you know, me going to jail and then I change and come out and whatever. But to just have me this conscious nigga amongst a room of gangbanging, dope dealing killer niggas, like,
it don't make no sense.
But he wasn't the protagonist though. The thing is, you know, as a writer, if he's not the protagonist, you could always have somebody in the movie where you don't know their backstory. That would have required them almost going in and rewriting the whole damn script.
Right, and that's what he wanted. He wanted a backstory, and they were like, we're not doing that. So it caused a rift.
Okay.
And, you can, you as a writer, director, whatever, you can only hold up shit for so long.
Right.
Nigga, the money is ching-chinging.
Right.
The executives is like, hey, what's going on? How come we ain't starting to shoot? How come we still doing fucking table reads and it's fucking 2 weeks into this shit? We should be out filming. And that's because they didn't know how to deal with the interruptions every day.
Right.
So after about a week or two, they just decided, and like I said, once the bottom line comes and you tell a motherfucker, man, we losing like 10, 15,000 a day because we ain't shooting.
Well,
they ain't gonna give a fuck who's in it.
If you remember, a lot of people was getting cast in the same movies. I wonder because the dude that played Sharif was a gangbanger in Boys in the Hood. He the one that took the ball from the
ball
dude.
At the dude.
Yeah, my nigga Vontae. I went to school with Vontae.
So
wow.
that's
So he's from Compton?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went to school together.
I didn't know that.
I went to school with Vontae.
Oh, wow.
Compton just got a lot of talent.
A lot of talent out
there,
there, man. A lot of talented folks out there.
Like some of the best rappers in the world came from the city of Compton. Compton, not if I compare it to like Brooklyn when I explain it to people, I always tell people like Compton is kind of like the I wouldn't say Harlem. It's kind of like the Bronx.
Yeah.
Of the West Coast.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Bronx.
That.
I would say Watts is the Bronx. Compton might be more Brooklyn now.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? It's more
now.
Brooklyn. It's a lot of wordsmiths that come out of Compton. It's a lot of inspiration in the neighborhood.
Well, you had to hustle out there in Compton, man. A lot of hustlers out there. Cats had to hit the streets, so they took that same mentality to the rap game.
Oh, definitely.
I wanted to ask you a question, man. And this really, the older I get, this really, because I see a lot of stuff in the culture, like I said, from these big, these huge platforms inviting the wrong people up there to speak.
Yeah.
There are so many knowledgeable people such as yourself, people such as this man right here, me, a lot of other brothers out there doing their thing. And it seemed like we're last to get called for the stuff. Do you think that's because we're threatening?
To a certain degree, because a lot of the goofy stuff, man, that's somewhat profitable. It was profitable. Now we're flooded with the goofy stuff now. So people are kind of getting tired of it.
Right.
So now people want to see conversations like this now because it's out of the norm. You want to get a different take on something. You can only get so much hedonism and ratchetness until you say, hey, let me try something else. A motherfucker with their clothes on is more interested than all of these naked motherfuckers twerking if you see too much of it. So there has to be balance to everything, man.
Exactly, like, big ups to Sexy Red.
Yeah.
Her music is entertaining. I think
some of it is catchy.
Banging. Some of it's catchy, but like you said, there's no longer a balance, right?
Right.
Because what's the one sister's name? She be busting too. What's her name? Begins with an R.
Remy Ma? Was it Remy?
Not Remy, but
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I would like to see them give Rhapsody the same platform that Sexy Red got, because both of them, I'm not going to say Sexy Red is exactly necessary, but I get it.
Well, you got to have a balance. We got a whole bunch of Sexy Reds out here right now. Sexy Red, Glorilla, Megan, City Girls, all of them doing the same thing. See, back in the 90s, man, we had ratchetness too. We had Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, but we had a balance. We had Lauryn Hill, we had Queen Latifah, we had Yo-Yo, we had MC Eiht, so there was a balance to it. So that didn't overtake everything. Back in 88, that was the peak of hip-hop. That was the golden era of hip-hop, 1988.
We all came up on.
Yeah, that year, it was so diverse. Many of those people can still go on tour now. They were that impactful. It was so diverse in 88. You had Kid and Play, Heavy D, Public Enemy, EPMD, Salt and Pepper, Rakim. It was NWA, all of these guys. So it was a taste for everybody. Nobody was acting the same. In fact, if you emulated another rapper, that would
you was frowned down upon.
Yeah, you would
was
look
biting.
down upon. Yeah, you biting, dude. You sound like such and such. Even EPMD, they were criticized for sounding like Rakim. Exactly. They were like, hey, y'all better change that style up a little bit. So there was a code in hip hop. Hip hop was still on this code where you're supposed to be innovative and diverse.
Based on originality.
Right. You got to be original. The corporate structure, when they got a part of it, they want cookie cutter. They want everybody sounding the same so they can send it to radio.